Hello, everyone. Welcome to another live episode of the Alex Nitzberg Show. I'm Alex Nitzberg, and today I'm going to be talking about a few topics, but they all basically fall under this umbrella of transgenderism. So first of all, let me say, if you've been enjoying these live videos, I've been doing live videos on Saturdays at 3:30 p.m. Please give me a thumbs up on this video, and also you can check out some of the other ones too if you want. But I'm going to start out with what you saw on that thumbnail, which is President Joe Biden. Let me switch my camera here. And let me also preface this all by saying that as crazy as some of this stuff is, and although it is April Fool's Day, none of what you are about to hear is an April Fool's joke. This is all real stuff put out by real government officials and government agencies. So, President Joe Biden has issued his third consecutive proclamation about Transgender Day of Visibility. And the reason I'm saying third is because he put out one in 2021, he put out one in 2022, and now he's put out this one in 2023. And that's where that quote came from that you saw in the thumbnail. He said he's got this proclamation here that says, Transgender Day of Visibility celebrates the joy, strength, and absolute courage of some of the bravest people I know. People who have too often had to put their jobs, relationships, and lives on the line just to be their true selves. Now let me pause there, because when we're talking about this issue of transgenderism, I keep seeing people talking about people being their true selves and living as their authentic selves and all. It's literally the opposite of the truth. Okay, if you're born a biological male and you're pretending that you're a woman, that is literally the opposite of living as your authentic and true self. So I'll just note that because you see that here, but you'll see it a lot of places. People have been saying that kind of stuff. So he goes on to say, today we show millions of transgender and non-binary Americans that we see them, they belong, and they should be treated with dignity and respect. Let me pause there. People keep talking about dignity, respect, the human rights of transgender people, and violence and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, every human being deserves to be treated with dignity and respect, and no, there should be no violence against transgender people. There shouldn't, so obviously that's a given. But there's a difference between saying that people should be treated with dignity and respect, there should be no violence, and all that sort of stuff, and then the transgender movement trying to force people to accept something that is a non-reality. The idea that, men can identify as women and then that's acceptable and that's something you can't. People do not need to defy biological reality just because someone else wants them to. So let me also say that. So here you can see there's that quote, transgender Americans shape our nation's soul. This is what Biden's proclamation says. Proudly serving in the military, curing deadly diseases, holding elected office, running thriving businesses, fighting for justice, raising families, and much more. And if you scroll down here, at the conclusion of this, you can see that it says, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Constitution and the laws of the United States, do hereby proclaim March 31st, 2023 as Transgender Day of Visibility. And I'll just, hey, I just see here that someone named, what is that? The conservator said hit the like button. So please do that. I appreciate that. And thank you, the conservator, for conservinator. I'm sorry, I'm saying that wrong. The conservinator. Okay. Thank you, the conservinator. And please do hit that like button. I appreciate that. So yeah, so that was this year. And then here you go. Proclamation on Transgender Day of Visibility 2022. And then here's the other one, Proclamation on Transgender Day of Visibility 2021. So President Biden has not missed 1 year yet since he's been in office to go ahead and proclaim these Transgender Day of Visibility. So go over here. All right, so U.S. Department of Commerce shared the president's latest 2023 proclamation here, and up here you can see they have a quote from it. And here, this this next one, it seems. I mean, I guess you could say that it's absurd that our president is doing this, but it's actually this seems extremely absurd. And I'll say cloudy with a chance of wokeness. The National Weather Service is acknowledging this Transgender Day or International Transgender Day of Visibility. Look at this. National Weather Service tweeted out yesterday, to promote justice, equality, and equity for the transgender community, the National Weather Service family champions and stands alongside our transgender employees on this day and every day. Hashtag Trans Day of Visibility. And they have this graphic here. So yeah, the International Weather Service is acknowledging this. And then the National Oceanic, National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, I believe is the name of NOAA. That is the organization which National Weather Service is under. And actually, the U.S. Department of Commerce is over all of them. So I think it goes U.S. Department of Commerce, and under that, the NOAA, and under that, National Weather Service. But here, the NOAA climate.gov Twitter account retweeted National Weather Service and said, "Happy Trans Day of, hashtag Trans Day of Visibility." So we have that as well. And then, over here, we have the Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, also put out this statement marking this Transgender Day of Visibility. And you can see here, he's got, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but on Transgender Day of Visibility, the United States reaffirms that transgender rights are human rights. Let me pause there again. Obviously, everyone who identifies as transgender, like everyone else, has human rights. However, the thing is, the transgender movement argues that, that there's like a human right to all sorts of weird stuff, like, chopping off body parts and all the weird surgeries and the hormones and stuff like that. And then that, that's where you run into problems. Obviously, everybody has human rights. But anyway, it says, "We celebrate the achievements and resilience of transgender, non-binary, gender non-conforming persons around the world. We recognize their bravery and their hard-fought work for equality, inclusion, and the full recognition of their human rights." So that's the problem. That's where we run the sides run to conflict here, is because when a conservative, when a Bible-believing Christian like myself says that there's a problem with a man saying that he identifies as a woman and wanting to get surgery and wanting to take hormones and all that sort of thing, and we say, like, that's not biblical, it's not the truth, it's a lie, then it's like, if you start pushing back and trying to pass laws to prevent those things, and particularly one of the issues people are really focused on is children, because obviously these things should not be happening to children. I suppose there could be an argument made, on a libertarian sort of argument, should adults be allowed to do these things or not allowed to do these things? But especially, when it comes to children, like, that's a hard no. Obviously not. Children should not be getting surgeries and hormones and puberty blockers and all that sort of thing. But then when you start arguing that point, the people, the proponents of the radical leftist gender ideology may then say that you are, denying human rights or trying to do that sort of thing. And it's like, it's an argument that goes on here, and then, they frame this as denying human rights and all that sort of thing. So, all right, so, and then, okay, I talked about this before. This was in March. Antony Blinken, the Secretary of State, and First Lady Jill Biden hosted this International Women of Courage Awards ceremony at the White House. And one of the award recipients, one of the honorees, was a transgender woman from Argentina. Of course, a transgender woman is a biological man who identifies as a woman and therefore is just a biological man. But yeah, that's one of the, and I've talked about this before, but let me just show you this clip again here.
In Argentina, Alba Ruada is a transgender woman who was kicked out of classrooms, barred for sitting for exams, refused job opportunities, subjected to violence, and rejected by her family. But in the face of these challenges, she worked to end violence and discrimination against the LGBTQI+ community in Argentina.
So you can see that there, First Lady Joe Biden and Secretary of State Antony Blinken hosting this ceremony at the White House is supposed to honor International Women of Courage, and here we have a biological man in the mix. And I'm just kind of hammering this point home about how the Biden administration is so completely in the tank for this agenda. I'll also point out this here. Dylan Mulvaney, who is a biological man who identifies as a woman, who you may have seen other news stories about and stuff like that, he posted this this letter that appears to be from Vice President Kamala Harris. And you can see here, it says in the letter, Vice President Kamala Harris is lauding Mulvaney. And once again, this is talking about living authentically, which I just went over. People keep using that, and it's literally the reverse of reality, okay? If you're a man pretending to be a woman, that is not living authentically. So here it says, "Dear Dylan, I send you my warmest greetings as you celebrate your 365th day of living authentically. Thank you for courageously sharing your story and your journey. I appreciate your continued advocacy for for transgender equality, including during your visit to the White House last year." And also interesting, the argument about equality and stuff, you've probably noticed that women don't seem to be faring very well as the transgender equality movement gains ground. Obviously, if, depending on what they're talking about, but if you're talking about transgender equality in sports, and if what that means would be, biological men being able to compete in women's sports, well, then that would mean that women's sports are going to suffer at the expense, of the transgender equality movement, because that is not fair. It is, even if they're taking hormones and stuff, that's not right. All right, and that's the end of that stuff. I've been talking about the Biden administration and the U.S. government completely promoting all this stuff. This last thing I'm going to cover here is actually from out of the UK, and I'll let you see it here. All right, so West Yorkshire Police has this press release, and it says woman jailed for multiple domestic abuse offenses, and you look at the press release. And it says a woman has been jailed for 9 years with an additional 3 years on license after pleading guilty to 6 offenses, including false imprisonment, assault, and robbery. And you can go on. Zara Jade, 54, was sentenced today at Bradford Crown Court following the offenses committed in August last year. And you can keep reading and look. Notice here that it talks about her, uses the pronoun her, and all that sort of thing. And nowhere in here, anywhere does it mention that this person is transgender. So let me show you a picture. Who is Zara Jade? Who is this, quote, woman who was jailed for multiple domestic abuse offenses? There you go. So the West Yorkshire Police puts out this press release that says woman, uses the word woman. It has, female pronouns. Never anywhere does it mention that this person is transgender. Meanwhile, you scroll to the bottom and there's the picture of the quote unquote woman. I mean, this is absurd. This is completely absurd. It's ridiculous when a political, entity, like a political person, or, like the Democrats, President Joe Biden, are promoting it. But, when the police are doing it, it's just like, good grief. And if you look at this, here's a BBC, and if you look at what they have here, look, a transgender woman. See, they say it. I mean, it's pretty obvious. But the police press release, no mention of it. So the police press release is missing a very key fact. That this person is in fact a biological man. So that is it for my stuff that I'm going to talk about today. Oh, I see I have some more comments. So thank you guys for that. Let me see what I got here. So, all right. So I got Joanne Roth Burke. One of my Facebook friends said, "Whatever happened to the feminist movement?" Good question. It's a good question. And so thank you all. And thank you to everyone who gave me a thumbs up. If you enjoyed that video, please do give it a thumbs up. And also, I've got over here at my channel, you can subscribe to the channel. And if you have already done that, if you're wanting to get notifications, you can also turn those on right here as well. But thank you, everyone, for... let me switch back to that camera there. Thank you, everyone, for watching this episode of The Alex Nitzberg Show. I'm doing live episodes each Saturday at 3:30 p.m. So you can join me next Saturday. And also, often, I didn't do one this week, but often I'll put up another video as well during the week. And I've been doing the shorts. I clip up the live videos and the other videos and put them up as shorts. So thank you for watching, and please join me next week for another episode.